This is Vicious Loop Productions. My name is Elena Martinez and I am the director and one of the animators in this project.
Hi, my name is Alexander Montgomery. I'm the monster designer and character animator on Vicious Loop.
Vicious Loop started with the idea of combining different styles of animation, as we've got 2D traditional animation and 2D rigged animation. As well, I wanted to have freedom on the art direction. I wanted to develop something more surreal, something that is not in this world. We got to recruit a few people to collaborate on the project, so really thank you for your help. They were Oli as DOP, Monty that helped with the storyboarding, Kieran Page as character designers, Sam Thompson as the soundtrack composer, and Jeffrey as the 3D modeler of Larry's Run.
I decided to join the Vicious Loop project because during Elena's proposal I found it to be a rather interesting project and it presented its own fair share of challenges and I like a challenge. Plus, it also conveys a serious point about the misuse of drugs and how it can lead to perhaps hallucination and other sorts, which is something that seriously needs to be addressed. So, best way to communicate that is with an animation.
Larry is a 23 years old woman that is addicted to the experiences drugs make her feel. Larry goes through psychedelic trips that they usually end up on nightmares, but she thinks her reality is boring, so that's why she prefers her trips. The story aims to show to the audience how irresponsible drug use can put you into an undesirable situation. After all the research I made about drugs and their effects, I couldn't find a one that statistically would induce someone under the situation I wanted to represent on the short film. Finally, I concluded that it was the right thing to create a fictional drug that could act like many other drugs, bringing people into an addiction. It was very interesting not only to listen to the people testimonials, but to discover great artists that did gorgeous psychedelic art that was mind-blowing. As for example, Andrew Archer.
The inspiration for designing the monsters when I first started on the project would come from the surrealist art movement and Salvador Dali, because the key of surrealism is focusing on, like, say, art that we see in our subconscious minds, or, in other words, our dreams. So, that was the perfect inspiration to create these hallucinated monsters, from, like, say, cute fluffy spiders to scary monsters, or even hand monsters to be more precise. I would say that this project has had its fair share of challenges, like, say, animating some of the characters. Like, say, the most difficult ones I personally think were most the hardest to animate were the hand monsters and the spider monsters, because the fact is, spiders have loads of limbs, and when trying to rig them in, like, say, Animate or Toon Boom, it was kind of hard to animate the limbs moving without them, like, say, breaking apart or just stretching to a jangled up mess.
When I had to design Larry, I had to consider two main things. One was how to connect even more the character with the audience. So that's why I thought, okay, if you have as main character a human shape, that will help on that connection. And the second one was that I thought, okay, because I'm doing traditional animation, I need to think which shape is going to be for me more easy to draw tons of times.
What I liked most about the project was animating the monsters themselves, which I designed using Toon Boom Harmony, which is industry standard software, and I wanted to change the pace from Adobe Animate. It's much easier to use rigging animation in that than it would in Maya or any other animation software I've used in the past. I won't say the characters I enjoyed the most animating were the soldiers, designed by our colleague Kira Creek. because they all presented their fair share of, like, say, performances in the animation scene where they emerge from the ground. Plus, working with Sora is pretty fun too, but working on the third soldier, the smallest of the crew, I noticed he had a rather large backpack. So I thought, a soldier emerging from the ground with a very large backpack, and I thought, we could have some fun with this. So I had him animating, coming out of the ground, but then get stuck, like how in the original Winnie the Pooh short he got stuck and couldn't get out again until he slimmed down. Or in this case, the soldier forces himself to come out, but then clicks right on the ground, then slams right on the ground, adding a bit of comedy side to it, which was inspired by a scene in the Big Bang Theory TV series.
I'm a very social person. Because of this, I loved to discuss with my teammates, classmates, friends, and families the project, and as well to listen others' suggestions. For example, the link between the end of the short film with the beginning came up from a conversation I had with a first year student called Jack. So I have to thank him. Using my handmade light box that I built with the help of my father during this lockdown, obviously. I had a briefly idea about how to use a light box, but I wanted to experiment and I had the chance now. So I put a lot of attention to keep the right scale on things, on the details that I was supposed to animate. What I did to help myself was to print a 1920 1080 frame on each paper. I used this frame as a limit for Laris's scale, and I tried to use the same scale I used for Laris on the background sketches I did to help myself to position Laris animation. A point I think it's important to make is how we picked very different color palettes for each scenario. Because I try to link Laris's mood with her environment. So for example, we've got the mountains with very light blue and brownish tones, meaning peace and happiness. That stands for the first stage of Laris's trip. After that, we've got the garden. The garden has very bright, full colors like yellow, oranges, greens, etc., meaning joy and excitement. And after that, we've got the hair room. Hair room has browns, dark brown tones and dark blues, meaning unstimulating, boring, and dull place. When I was working on her animation, I didn't realize I was extending her actions. So I simply had to go over quite a lot of things to rectify the timings. Basically, Laris's timings for almost all of her actions are quite fast. What we used for this project was OneDrive to update absolutely anything that we are working on, all the scenes, all the new designs, absolutely everything. As well, Facebook chat to keep casual contact, and by the last, Microsoft Teams to do video calls and meetings. It taught me a lot about how to manage my time in a better way. As well, I learned how to communicate in a team even better because I've got more responsibilities. Another things that I'm very happy that this project became real because of all the intention that is behind the project. I think that there is one specific thing that if I would have the chance to repeat this project, I would modify, and that is Larry's room's design. I came to the conclusion that I didn't add the right element to create a connection between Larry's room and the garden. I was being shy. I was so scared to add elements that wouldn't fit Larry's personality that I ended up being too subtle.